Temitope Olugule is a member of the research team at Financial Derivatives Company, but she's doing a traffic report for us here on the show this morning to start this commodities market conversation. How bad is it out there? Good morning.
Good morning. It's really bad.
Really bad?
Yes. Traffic is one of the issues we deal with in, the metropolitan city of Lagos.
Perhaps we need to put an index to it. Maybe you folks at FDC should do this for us. We have a mystery index, right?
Yes, we do.
So perhaps we add transportation or just remove it as Lagos transportation and make it a standalone index, and how much damage, if we can just use an index to measure what we go through on a daily basis.
I wonder what will go into calculating that index.
Well,
the
bad
kind of
roads.
variables we'll be using.
Yes, bad roads, police stoppages, whatever. And we could just downfall drivers, one way, whatever it is. Kakemarwa, the rest, Okada. We'll just put all of that into a tanker falling off the bridges and breaking down around the Otedola Bridge on the way here, isn't it?
Maybe that would, help the government know how bad it is. I'm sure they know how bad it is and how bad it's getting. It's getting worse.
Imagine Victoria Island to this location, and it took so long.
Yes, it did. And the traffic out there is crazy.
Because it's the first business day,
after the
and everybody is getting back into the city, and everybody's moving around the city, and it becomes like honeycomb.
Yeah, it's like Tuesday is now the new Monday, So it's definitely...
You mommy, Tuesday, the new Monday. Interesting. But we need to do something about it.
Yes,
the cost of doing business in Lagos, transportation, vehicular traffic, as a standalone, as a major component of that index. We should work at it, shouldn't we?
We should.
We should. Take that back home to the team and say this is a suggestion from me. But let's start with what's the burning economic issues. I'm sure you guys had a very nice holiday. But while you were on holiday, oil prices
rallied a little.
Yes, rallied a little,
yeah,
still at comfortable level.
Yeah. So
take us through that list.
Okay, so the burning issues for today, we have that, the UK's Q3 GDP growth came out and they escaped a technical recession just narrowly. So the economy grew by 0.3% in Q3 2019, and if it had contracted, they would have been in like a technical recession, because Q2 there was a contraction. So we also have that Brent rallied, so we're now above $62 per barrel. We have that the exchange rate at the parallel market is stable at 359 naira per dollar. Yeah, so those are our burning reserves. Reserves are sliding, and it's looking like we're going to hit $39 billion before the end of this year. In fact, we could even hit it before the end of this month, So we're at $40.2 billion around that. So, approximately 40. So those are our burning issues for now.
So we have about 12 months import cover for our current FX reserves.
Yes.
But if you try to put all of this into both the goodies and the downers, how did they stack up?
Okay, so we'll start with the bad news. We'll start with the downers. So, we have that the inflation numbers for October, they're coming in on Thursday this week. So we at FDC, we're projecting that it would inch up from 11.24% in September to 11.6%. And, that is border closure effect, seasonal factors, increased Christmas demand. So those are our downers. Price of rice, we are now between 24,000 to about 28,000 naira for a 50 kg bag. So that is definitely a downer in the economy. The good is we have that, the naira is stable at 359 at the parallel market, but also that is cautiously optimistic goodie, because we have that we're seeing a little bit of signs of weakness at the parallel market.
Yeah, currency is one major issue, and I'm sure the central bank will do anything and everything possible to fence off a devaluation, whatever it is, the depreciation, whatever D it is called.
That could be one of the reasons why we're seeing the steady decline in reserves.
In
just
reserves.
in a bid to
and again, we don't have any Eurobond
stable.
inflow yet.
No,
Capital inflow is not as heavy
Yes,
as it is. So,
yes.
so Mr. President is running around, and has been running around since the cabinet came in. It's done 3 major international events, travels,
yes.
looking for money, and we just secured World Bank
power sector loan,
and that is not coming until April next year.
Yes,
so right now we have about 6 months of scrambling around, trying to shore up our external reserves, and it's a lot of hard work for the administration.
Yes,
but again, let's get to the marketplace, because a lot of folks here at home in Nigeria, and perhaps those who are watching us abroad, who want to send in remittances to their friends and families and parents perhaps back at home, should realize that they should send more money.
Yes, definitely.
And that's the story out there for you folks. You want to send in money for this year and New Year because of rice, land border closure, please add a few more dollars and pounds sterling than you sent last year, because the price of rice is a little bit higher. I just need to let them know that.
Yes.
That's in order, right?
Yes, that is definitely in order. And this is even without the effect of minimum wage, because, we have not even seen the disbursements plus the arrears, of how many months.
Well, the government says it will be disbursed, it will be paid before December 31st. That's going to be a flooding, kind of.
Just imagine what would happen to inflation.
And I'm just thinking of what Emefiele will do. They have a lot to do. So when they hold an MPC in about 2 weeks' time or so, they need to give us an idea of how that will pace out.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's time for the CBN now to focus primarily on its primary responsibility, price stability. Growth is, it's a good thing to focus on, but, I think for growth, it's time for the fiscal team to step up. And that is even happening in advanced countries.
There's little that the world. The central banks around the world seem to have reached the end of the road.
Exactly. There's little they can do at this point. Their primary responsibility remains price stability. Fiscal team should go into the growth, stimulus.
Should get into the driver's seat.
Yeah, exactly.
And drive the economy.
Growth, which is one of our primary problems in Nigeria, growth. And we also have the inflation problem. Let the monetary team focus on inflation problem. Fiscal team focus on, the growth problem. So there's like a division of labor, if you will, So, each team focuses on their primary assignment.
And their core competences.
Yes, exactly.
It's very surprising. And that's what the executive branch should be thinking of. But again, let's go to the market. I love that. I don't want us to miss that in this. Let's check in with the market prices. And rice is the whipping boy.
And it remains
it's a sweet one.
Well, it's not so sweet for the pockets of the Nigerian consumers now. It remains the talk of the town. We are now between 24 to 28,000 naira for a 50 kg bag of rice. And that is even if you can find it. If you can find it in the market, So what we have now is there's
petrol scarcity.
But now it's the Christmas season of rice scarcity. We are done with the petrol scarcity now. This Christmas 2019 is rice scarcity. So you've cut off the small goods supply, but you've not increased the local supply. So what we are having now is both imported, both local rice, locally produced rice. There's an increase in prices. Exactly, Nigerian prices. Because obviously the people that used to consume the imported rice, they're now looking to the locally produced rice, and that is increased demand is equals to increased prices. That's just basic.
So let's just check from the top of the table very quickly. From palm oil to semovita to new yam to sugar and all of that. Where are we? What does this survey show us? I'm sure rice is the word on everybody's lips out there. But again, if we try to look at the entire basket of what you folks cover at FDC, and this is quite good, about what other alternatives do I have? Some folks say they've ate enough beans and they're feeling like prisoners.
Yes, beans can serve as an alternative this season. Your spaghetti can be an alternative this season. For corporates that are looking to, incentivize their employees with, the typical rice distribution, you are going to.
So instead of bags of rice, you can distribute
something else.
You can distribute spaghetti.
Spaghetti, beans. I mean,
that'd be for a change.
That would be an interesting change.
That would be an interesting change.
Yes.
But folks just love the sight of a bag of rice in the corner of the room.
Exactly.
Why is this making it so attractive to everyone?
Right now,
there's gold in it.
Right now, beyond the attractiveness of it, it's like gold now. So if you give your employee a bag of rice, trust me, the appreciation will be more than last year, because it's like gold now. You would have saved his pocket, you would have saved his family from, not having rice on their table as their Christmas meal. So it is like gold right now, trust me.
Very interesting. I'm looking at other gari and rice and cement prices going up there.
We're seeing an uptick. Gari is mainly for seasonal factors. We have that, the seasonal factors are playing into the price of gari now. But we think that should subside after, Christmas.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Tomato and pepper seem to be
flat. They're taking the back seats. Yeah, they're taking the back seat. You know how sometimes during the year we have this scarcity of tomatoes. Maybe there are some conflicts up in the north, but those are flat for now.
But still, with the rice story, looks like the big man, Aliko Dangote, is stepping in there, building a multi-billion rice facility up there, somewhere in the north.
But how long will that take before it gets, before it's completed?
We
were
just
hoping
eat more
for
beans, wait for him.
Till that, till 2021.
2021?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't know when.
Unbreak my heart. I just have to unbreak my heart if I have to wait till 2021.
You never know when that will be ready,
No, that's something. But let's quickly check in with the world of agro commodities. Where are we? And quite a few stories from outside the country are a little bit unsettling when you talk about sugar, corn and whatever, what is happening around the climate change and all of that. And I'm beginning to ask myself what's going on with wheat prices are down, but then a few prices are not looking good. Look at sugar, about 1.5% to the north.
Yeah, so when we look at the global agricultural commodities we cover, we saw that 3 were green and 1 was red. So the price of sugar increased, and obviously any increase in your import commodities equals to an increase in your import bill. So I think one of the things that are driving these commodity prices right now is the release of reports. So when you have the United States Department of Agriculture releasing a report that says that you should expect lower U.S. output of grains, obviously the prices of wheat and corn, grain prices would follow in that, would react to that report. So we're having that, the outlook for these commodities are a bit dim. We have wheat, corn, the outlook, it's not looking good. So obviously, and that would impact negatively on our import bill.
What's the what I can call the playbook for crude oil?
Okay, so crude oil
Brent is bullish, slightly.
Yes. Crude oil is very interesting because I think right now everybody's just looking to the OPEC meeting in December, which is just a few weeks away. So, the outlook for crude oil in 2020 is there's likely to be an oversupply. So, when you have, a weak demand, the IEA constantly revising downwards its demand growth forecast because of, the slowdown in these economies, Germany, these economies, the US, all these economies that are experiencing a slowdown and, the talks of a recession, that would definitely affect demand growth. So when there's supply but there's no demand for it, and you also have the rising US shale inventories. So that is leading to an outlook of an oversupplied market in 2020. So what analysts and everybody is calling out to the OPEC and its allies team to do in December is to deepen the production cuts, because if they do not, that is going to send prices down. And some of these countries, they need prices at above $60 per barrel to be able to finance their government spending and stuff. Even Nigeria, we need oil prices above $60 per barrel. So everybody right now is literally mounting pressure on OPEC to deepen their production.
But again, Iran just found 53 billion crude oil worth of reserves. That just hit me like a bolt.
And that could also add to the oversupplied market,
53 billion. Fresh reserves? That's a whole lot.
That's a whole lot.
I'm sure folks around the big oil producers are thinking this is kind of changing the game.
Yes, changing the game of top producers.
For everyone.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Temitope Olugbile. We appreciate your coming through. Now you've got to face the flip side of that vehicular snarl. There's always a one with it, the getting back to downtown. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. From Financial Derivatives, Temitope Olugbile. Well, what's making some of the headlines this morning? The new World Bank Enterprise study says about 322 Nigerian firms closed shop between 2009 and 2014 due to the harsh operating environment. And that's, of course, putting that out as part of the report results that came out of the ongoing EFDB Group Africa Investment Forum taking place in South Africa. In the meantime, African Exports-Imports Bank President Benedict Oramah has told West African countries to deploy technology for border monitoring rather than resort to border closure. Dr. Oramah says he's hopeful that Nigeria will reopen its borders to its neighbors, land borders to its neighbors, before the the formal takeoff of the AFCA, the new AFCFTA in 2020. And the Nigerian Stock Exchange has admitted 2 new savings bonds issued on the 16th of October. The first was the 11.244%. That's the yield on that savings bond issued 16th of October, maturing October 2021. The volume 145.872 million naira. The second was 12.44%. FGS October 2022. 401.539 million naira, due October the 16th, 2022. That's some of the stories there for you on the market street. We're starting today's trading day. It's early hours yet, so we'll check in a bit later into that if you've got anything new. But again, this is our first business and markets trading day for the week. A very quick one before we take a break. Nigeria is pursuing another economic agenda. This one doesn't have a title yet, but it's a destination. That's 2040. And the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning is leading the putting together of that document. We're scrapping the ERGP as well as Vision 2020. Paul Alaje of SPM Professionals, a senior economist, has a few minutes to trash this for us this morning. What are his thoughts as we put pen to paper? Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you. Thank you. The vehicular story around Lagos is something else. You're from Abuja, you're getting your baptism. So, of that. So, welcome to the city.
Yeah.
But very quickly, how important do you think infrastructure, which includes roads, is very key in the new economic agenda we're trying to put together?
It should be at the forefront of it. Without infrastructure and, say, for emphasis, say, power, road, rail, without those, there is no economy. That's the truth. And the state, if I must add, that should champion this, should go beyond just federal government. It should be in our economic cities, talking about Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, Kaduna, states where you have population, and most of the revenue that goes to subnational is derived from those places. Of course, all states must be involved in all of these, but there must be special attention paid to these places. I'm not saying we should discriminate among subnational, but I'm saying that this is where most of the revenue of the federation, including some states within the Niger Delta, we need to pay 100% attention to infrastructure alongside with power, rail, projects. We need to do more. We're talking about 2040. We're having another economic. I hope it will be a development plan. It will not just be what the RGP was.
Not just an economic plan,
exactly.
but a development plan.
A development plan. ARGP, when it came, most of its parameters, some were achieved very a minimum amount, quantity were achieved. Larger percentage of those plans were not achieved. By now, we should be growing beyond 6-7%. We are struggling to grow at 2% based on economic recovery and growth plan. So even the marking scheme is set for itself is unable to meet 50% of it. So I'm happy government is saying we might want to do away with even Vision 2020. It's just next year. Now, next year, what will be the parameters? We can call it any name. We can call it any name, but that is not what is important. How do we embed President Buhari's vision of taking 100 million out of poverty? If you say we want to start from next, how do we take them? How do we improve healthcare? How do we empower primary healthcare, which perhaps for me is the most important?
A very important part of this conversation is that we who are here today making plans for the year 2040, by then you and I would be sitting on the lounging chair with walking sticks. So, but then we're making plans for those who will be born now for the next 40 years. Yeah. And those who are young now will also be old by then. So, this is a very important one. Stick around. Paul Alaje will continue this conversation for a few more minutes after the break. Everyone stand by.